Things just took a shocking turn where one text message from Zac Taylor now has Trey Hendrickson in the Cincinnati area talking to the media about his displeasure with his current contract situation. We'll break it down, see what this is going to mean for the franchise and the upcoming season. Welcome to the jungle. I'm Isaac Coffman with Bengals Digest. So glad to see you on this hot topic that has been going on this week. If you haven't already, smash that subscribe button so you'll be up to date on the news as it drops, as this only continues to heat up more and more as the day goes by. So the latest news we got is that Zac Taylor texted Trey Hendrickson that if he is not in minicamp, which is next month, he will be fined. This set Trey Hendrickson off. It has been reported now that he is not happy. Here from Jay Morrison, he said Trey Hendrickson said that there are unprovoked shark attacks and provoked ones. He said his statement yesterday and the session today were provoked by Katie Blackburn's comments at the owners' meetings and Zac Taylor's text informing him he would be fined for skipping mini camp. So going back a little bit, Katie Blackburn had some comments at the owners' meetings. Essentially, she was saying Trey Hendrickson is not happy, but he should be happy with what he has. So that, it looks like, provoked him, but what really set him off was this week Zac Taylor texted him, giving him a notice that he was going to be fined if he didn't show up. So not good stuff, because you're talking, they already had a feud going on last season. It was kind of swept under the rug. They talked how they work things out, but there was a spat on the field. They've had their differences in the past. So you can't ignore that there has sometimes been this back and forth. This is clear as day, Trey saying he did not appreciate that text from Zac Taylor, even mentioning that this is 30 days out. And that does say a lot coming from Zac Taylor himself, because that's saying that as a collective thought from the franchise, you're going to play on your contract. Trey Hendrickson has come out and said, I'm not going to play this year under my current contract. He is owed $16 million this year. He wants more. The market value puts him more at about 30 plus. So that's a lot more. But coming from Zac Taylor, that text, that one text, says so much. It's really drawing the line in the sand from the Bengals franchise, having the head coach texting him, which he no doubt already knows. He knows that if he isn't at camp, that's going to be the case. He's going to be fined, but yet it was still the case. I mean, it's kind of a crazy scenario. We're just seeing this all unfold, because then he gets on a plane, comes down to Cincinnati, and it was about a 20-minute conversation. If you've not seen the video, that's something to check out. Just kind of touching on some of those quotes. He doubled down on not liking his current contract, wanting a better one, and going on to just being provoked, as you read there, of that text from Zac. It's showing the tension. There is tension there. It's kind of been before that. There's been talks. There's been some positive back and forth. Not anymore. There seems to be some really intense feelings going on, and it's just one of those things where we're going to have to keep an eye on this. Now, a lot of people might say, well, he's under contract. He needs to just play out what the contract is he's under this year. And this is true. He is under contract. I've never been a fan of players who sit out because they're not happy. Say what you will. What is the right thing to do? That's how he feels about it. I also want to point out something interesting. Back in March, Duke Tobin had an interesting quote when it came to Trey Hendrickson. The talk was, is Trey Hendrickson going to be traded? Is he not going to be on this team? This was back on March 1st. I want to pull this quote up again. It's from Duke Tobin. He says, that's not something I want to do, because I want Trey on our football team. We're looking to pay him for what we believe will be really good future years. And we see him as not falling off in his career. That's why we're actively trying. That is very interesting coming from Duke Tobin. Now, given this was back on March 1st, these are not recent comments. that he had to say. So he was saying right here, they don't anticipate him to fall off. They're looking at Trey Hendrickson of, yes, he deserves to get a pay increase because we're going to try and sign him to the future. And you can't pay him for what he is this year, $16 million. That's not the market value. That tells me right there, at one point, they were thinking of giving Trey Hendrickson a pay increase. Now, somewhere along the way, Trey felt I should get more. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe they were around that 30. And then as time has gone on, there's been more edge rushers that have been getting these big 35 million or so. Maybe that's what Trey is wanting. He doesn't want to take that discount. There's where the inner conflict has just grown. Time has gone on. And then earlier comments in the week, Trey Hendrickson saying, post-draft, no communication from the Bengals. It's just adding up. It's not becoming something you want to see, honestly. But if you look at things from the perspective of why Trey is asking for so much, there's actually some interesting stats. I looked this up and I had to share that because this is crazy. This is coming from Lance McAllister. I appreciate him sharing it. It's from Warren Sharp Football stats off of his X. So it was kind of a share from a share, but I got it from Lance McAllister. Check these stats out. This is just crazy. For those who think maybe they shouldn't have Trey Hendrickson, they should just let him sit or they should trade him. These stats are crazy. So when Trey Hendrickson was on the field, and this is going back 2 seasons, 909 dropbacks, the defense was actually in the top 15 on success rate, completion rate, passer rating, and pressure rate. It's crazy. Number 8 in success rate. So the offense had a 44% success rate. When Trey was not on the field, they were dead last. They were dead last in the league, 55%. The big one that really jumps out to me, if you look through, number 8 in passer rating when Trey Hendrickson is on the field with an 86.9 passer rating. So quarterbacks, that's what their passer rating was when Trey was not on the field, dead last with 106.2 passer rating. That's just crazy to think of that much of an impact that Trey Hendrickson generated in the last 2 seasons. And then the other big one, pressure rate. Trey Hendrickson has one of the best, if not the best, pressure rates in the last few years. We'll break that down. There's another statistic I wanted to share, but this is huge. Number 12, when Trey Hendrickson's on the field with pressure rate of 35%. What happened when Trey Hendrickson went off the field? Dead last. They went down to 25%, a 10% drop when Trey Hendrickson's not on the field. That is absolutely crazy. That shows you the impact of what he does just being on the field, what he brings to the table. You see why Duke Tobin back in March saying we're going to pay him his worth. Right here, you're seeing statistics of his worth, of what he does when he's on the field. Now, another statistic we can look at, if we go further along with that, is he has pressures. He's not just this person that gets sacks. So this is from Next Gen Stats. It says Bengals edge defender Trey Hendrickson not only led the NFL in sacks this season, which was 17.5, but also in total pressures. 92 pressures and quick pressures of 46. So if you look at the stats there, lining him up with other edge rushers, Danielle Hunter just got a contract where he's around 35 million. We've heard about Myles Garrett. There's your top 3 right there. And Micah Parsons is in the top 5 as well. But when you compare Micah Parsons' pressure rate to Trey Hendrickson, nearly 20 difference on the GBP rate. Sorry, I can't say that straight. That's the statistics they're showing there. The pressure rate, he's number 1. That's what the Bengals will be severely missing if they don't have Trey Hendrickson there to apply pressure. There's just honestly nobody else on this team that has shown it. Maybe somebody steps up, but so far we're seeing Trey Hendrickson, he's the guy. So what can the Bengals do? Well, one option you can look at is actually another edge rusher. That is Max Crosby. He has a contract right now where in 2027, they can cut ties. Now, given this might be something the Bengals have already offered and Trey turned it down. But what the Bengals really need to do if they don't want to see a drop off in the defense that was already struggling, they need to get something worked out. And maybe they're playing the patience card, whereas Trey has obviously voiced his displeasure. He's taking the other route of, I'm going to speak up. I'm drawing my line in the sand by going to the press, by talking to ones about this, because I'm not getting any communication from the Bengals themselves, if that's true. So you see two differences. Bengals are patient. They aren't speaking much. Trey is taking a different approach to try and get things worked out. The Bengals can't have distractions. Simply put, how I feel about this is they can't have the distractions because they need to start fast. They've shown that they can't start slow. That has hurt them time and again. And how you do that is keep the locker room the way it has been. The culture that Zac Taylor has established. If this is ongoing into training camp, it could make a crack. It could start causing issues. And that's what I'm personally concerned about. But remains to be seen. Hopefully something can get worked out. This is a bunch of news that have just dropped this week. We're going to have to just keep an eye on it in the meantime. But tell us your thoughts. We're interested to hear what you think of this. It might seem like it's an ongoing thing, just repeating itself. But this is big news. Since Trey is now speaking up more, we're not hearing as much from the Bengals. What do you think? Do you think they're going to get this resolved soon? Do you think it's going to be dragged out? Let us know in the comments below. And again, if you are not already subscribed, be sure you smash that subscribe button so you'll be all up to date as the news drops. So that'll do it for now, guys. As we always say, hoo day.